There is a phrase in life where the old version of yourself has dissolved, but the new one hasn't emerged yet, hasn't fully formed yet. And this is what I call the sacred in between. This is what you might be going through right now: a career change, a breakup, a relocation, entering marriage, deep trauma healing, anything. In that space, most people and most women think that they might be doing something wrong, that they might be making a mistake by entering this new phase of life, by ending the other part of their lives. But in reality, what is happening is that 7 specific psychological codes are being activated right now. And if you don't know them, if you enter life transition without knowing that, chances are you will self-sabotage your new life, your new beginning, and you're gonna make it really difficult instead of this new level up, this easeful, this peaceful, this more joyous phase of your life. Today I want to introduce you to the 7 psychological codes of the sacred in between, of the life transition you might be going through right now. I'm gonna do a part 1 and a part 2, so today I'm gonna walk you through 3 or 4 of them, and the remaining are gonna be in part 2. The moment you're gonna understand those psychological codes, you are not gonna be consumed by this life transition anymore. You are gonna lead it instead of being led by fear, by self-sabotage, or old past pain. So this is gonna be your map on how to be more grounded during big life transitions. So without further ado, if you're new here, hi, my name is Chrisana. I'm a psychological life coach. Here we speak all about inner work, inner healing, and self-development. So welcome. If you've been here before, hi, welcome back. And yeah, let's get into the video. Psychological code of the sacred in between, number 1. This is knowing your self-activated archetype. This is a part of yourself that gets activated during big life transitions in order to protect you. And its behaviors might seem like self-sabotage, but in reality, they are just getting activated to activate your gifts, because those are 2 sides of the same coin. So those behaviors might seem harmful, but in reality, they are protecting gifts inside of yourself. Now, if you want to know more about the self-activated archetype, I created a few videos before, so I'm going to link them down below. I'm not going to dive deeper here, but feel free to watch them. They're going to help you understand even more what is happening exactly, what are those 4 self-activated archetypes, and how to navigate those. Because the more you understand how it shows up in your life, how it can activate your gifts, not only your shadows, the more you can move through this big life transition with ease. And I also have a free quiz for you, so you know which activated archetype is entering your life right now and is leading your life right now. When you take it, come back and let me know which one is leading your life right now. I am usually the warrior woman and the daydreaming queen, so I would love to know. Let me know also what is the big life transition you're going through right now. I would love to know. I respond to all of the comments. So when you understand this, when you know how she shows up, when you know what are exactly her characteristics besides the behaviors that, they might seem harmful, and they can be, don't get me wrong. If you have a background similar to mine, if you have a childhood that you experienced a lot of trauma, those might be coming to the surface right now through the self-activated archetype to show you what needs tending right now, what needs healing. But there are gifts underneath that, and we cannot see it until we clear up the space, until we clear this energy, those shadows from this self-activated archetype. So once you know it, it's going to give you a lot of guidance on spotting it. So for example, maybe you quit your 9-to-5 job and you're pursuing that creative project you always wanted. And you see yourself procrastinating on this project and daydreaming and being in this state of not being able to move into action. So that has a name. This is the daydreaming queen, and she's being activated so she can remind you her gifts and her shadows too. So yeah, I'm excited for you to get to know your self-activated archetype. It truly changed my life, because when I couldn't see it, it was leading my life. But once you get to know her, you gonna lead her, and she's gonna sit beside the passenger seat. It's not gonna take the driver's seat, you're gonna take the driver's seat. And this is what I call self-leadership. Yeah, if you don't get to know that, she's gonna continue to take lead with the shadows, not with the gifts. That's sad because you can change that. You have the power inside of yourself to change that. Like, why wouldn't you? A few years ago, I didn't have the resources, and this is why I created those. So anyone who is in my community, who checks my video, anything, they can have the resources to at least know what is going on right now. This is the first step. Awareness is always the first step. We don't want to stay in awareness, but this is a whole another conversation. But awareness is the first step. And once you know it, it's going to change your life. You're not going to be the same anymore. You're not going to stay stuck in those self-sabotage behaviors. Another thing that I want to add is that this is happening because your nervous system is registering this new career, this new creative project, your relationship, your healthy relationship, the relocation, the new country, anything. It registers this new change as threat, as something dangerous. And that's why it employs this self-activated archetype. That's why it's activating this part of yourself in order to protect you, because it thinks that this new thing, this new change, is something to be afraid of, is a threat to it. This is how we are wired as humans, but that can change. We can change that. I don't want you to think that you are doomed because of your nervous system. Your nervous system is wise. It employs systems to protect you, and we get to rewire that. And this is not to say, again, that there's something wrong with you and we need to change you or fix you. This is about evolving your consciousness, your identity. It's about becoming your true, most authentic version of yourself. It's about becoming self-led. It's about being in self-leadership. It's about not fighting yourself anymore. It's about working within yourself as a team, not being your worst enemy, judging yourself, or not allowing yourself to rest if you're a high achieving woman especially, or constantly thinking that you will never succeed in that, you will never get that thing in your life, you will never get the partner, you will never move to that dream city you always wanted. No, it's about aligning with your most true authentic self. It's about being that and learning from that space. It's not about not getting what you want or fixing a situation. It's about being who you always wanted to be in this phase of your life. And you get to do that by working with this part, not against it. Moving on. Psychological code number 2 is radical acceptance. One of the hardest things about big life transitions, about the sacred in between, is that they create a fog. You are working in a fog by not seeing in front of you. You just keep walking and you might feel blinded right now. And that is normal. It's actually part of this process. And I want to acknowledge that you might not recognize your life anymore. Sometimes you don't even fully recognize yourself. And that is part of the process. And so what most humans do in this exact phase, and you might be in that right now, they are trying to rush everything, to force clarity, certainty, the next version of yourself right now. But here's the thing, clarity rarely comes out of force, out of pushing yourself. It usually begins with radical acceptance, with honesty, of taking stock of what is really happening in your life right now. What is ending, what no longer fits, and what feels uncertain. Because it's normal to feel uncertain right now. It's just a matter of sitting with that instead of avoiding that through rushing, through forcing, through overworking yourself, through any kind of those coping mechanisms. You can think of this phase, this sacred in between, and this is what I teach my clients inside Metamorphosis, that this is the winter season. This is a winter phase of your life. It's dark outside. The trees are bare. The leaves have fallen. Everything seems quiet and even dead. But in reality, nothing is dead. It's just that beneath the surface, everything is being reorganized. The roots are still alive. The roots are replenishing in their own way. So something really important is taking place beneath the surface, something that you cannot see yet. It's like a seed, a new seed. It's not gonna sprout yet. You cannot expect a seed to sprout in the middle of the winter. So why would you expect yourself to bloom and sprout right now? So why would you expect yourself to thrive in this new beginning of your life? If you expect yourself to thrive, chances are you're gonna self-sabotage yourself to go back to the old version of yourself, to the old life. And this way you're gonna reinforce an underlying belief, which is, this is a mistake and I'm getting it all wrong. I shouldn't be doing that. And I'm not even worthy of that. So allow yourself to be in this winter phase of your life. See it as it is. Don't try to force winter to become spring. Don't try to force it to be something else other than it is. So what I want you to do is to sit with those three questions. What has ended in my life? What is uncertain? What feels really challenging right now? And what might be emerging from that? You can journal them out, or sit in meditation and see what comes up. Don't ignore the difficulty. Don't avoid it. Stay with it. And this might be the most important thing you will do in this winter season. Third psychological code. And this is finding compassion. And I know if you are like me, if you are a highly sensitive, high achieving, cycle breaking woman, you might think to yourself, oh my God, that again. Taking care of yourself. I know, but let me explain. Because this is incredibly important, especially if you are like me and you experience depression, trauma, and you have ingrained in your mind, in your psyche even, this inner critic voice that gets louder and louder and louder, especially right now during big life transitions. This is actually when it gets louder, because it's like the alarm system went off and now it's like, oh my God, I need to protect her. I need to show up right now to protect her the only way that I know. So this might sound like you will never get to do that. You suck at things. Why? Why do you even try? Why? Don't fail. Do anything else in your life, but don't even dare to fail. Why do I always get it wrong? What's wrong with me? Who do you think you are for pursuing that new thing, for pursuing that new career, for being in a healthy relationship? Who do you think you are? So all of this is just an inner critic voice that gets louder right now because it's threatened. It's threatened that you're gonna do the thing that your soul, God, universe, call it what you want, know you are meant to do, and it's trying to keep you from that. Not because it wants to harm you, but because this is what it was conditioned. This is what it was instilled in you from your childhood. This is why this code is finding compassion. Because chances are, especially as I said, if you experienced a lot of trauma in your life, this voice is ingrained in you. Like I remember when I had depression, this was 80% of my thoughts. This voice all day long. I couldn't get things done. I couldn't even get out of my apartment because I was constantly thinking what other people would think of me. I could barely get out of my apartment. It was that serious for me. Even though on the outside, it seemed really functional. But inside my brain, this voice was taking over. So most people might think that what they need to do is to get rid of that voice. I have an interesting take on that, because if we are trying to get rid of that voice, it's like we are fighting our own mechanisms, our own systems, our own conditioning. And as I said before, it's not about fighting ourselves. It's about collaborating. It's about creating the circumstances and right environments for that voice to soften, for this voice to melt. What does that mean practically? That means that you give it space to be heard. You find the root where it comes from. You don't psychoanalyze it, just stay with it emotionally, and you feel in your body what that feels until it gets digested, until it melts. And through that, at the same time, you establish a compassionate inner voice. So over time, your compassionate inner voice takes the lead instead of your inner critic taking the lead. And this way, your nervous system is regulated. When we are constantly in this state of thinking, why do I even do that? How do I even dare to do that? I suck, yada, 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 yada. Your nervous system is dysregulated. You cannot function properly. Your system cannot see opportunities. Your system cannot get even creative ideas. Your system cannot function in a calm state, even though regulation is not always calmness. I want to emphasize that, but that's again a whole other conversation. It's about being in your center. It's about being able to move through all of those states easily. So it's about being flexible and having capacity. And when you have capacity, you allow this inner critic voice to be there, to be heard, to be witnessed, to be seen. And at the same time, you strengthen your inner compassionate voice. And this is how you deal with this, not by fighting yourself. No. We don't do that. I don't believe in fixing yourself. No. Think of it like trying to grow a garden in concrete. You can pour water every single day, but nothing will grow there. And compassion is what breaks up the concrete. Compassion is what helps the soil to soften so new roots can sprout in this new phase of your life. So when you create compassion inside of yourself instead of constantly criticizing and shaming yourself, you create the foundation for a healthy nervous system. And that gives you more ability to see the opportunities around you, to show up as your true self in a more capable even way. Even though you are inherently capable, you start seeing yourself more capable through applying compassion, through those roots sprouting. You create psychological safety in your nervous system, and that will help you to bloom and enter this next phase of your life, which is spring. And fourth psychological code, the one that nobody warns you about, is alchemizing grief. This is because, contrary to popular belief, and I think especially culturally, we don't really allow people to grieve new exciting beginnings, even though that seems contradictory. Let me explain. Every single new life transition involves grief. Every single life transition is both an end and a beginning. Is death and rebirth. It's winter and spring. Even if that new beginning is exciting, even if it's the new career, even if it's marriage, even if it's becoming a mother, even if it's a new country, whatever it is, it involves grief. Because, I'm gonna say it one more time, every single life transition requires you to leave something behind. That can be a situation, a person, a role, an expectation, an old identity, especially that happens during every single life transition. All of that, you need to leave that behind. You need to let go of that. And what happens when we let go of things, when we leave them behind? We grieve. There is sadness. That's the thing. Our culture doesn't give us permission to grieve for new exciting beginnings. We are expected to only grieve if somebody dies physically. And so it goes underground. A lot of people suppress that and repress that. And when you suppress grief, it's gonna find its way to show up in some kind of way. It's gonna make it to seem like it's not grief, but it's grief seeping. It's gonna be like a water that cannot be drained. It's gonna find its way through psychosomatic issues, through leaking emotions through snapping at other people, anything, you name it, it will show up in so many different ways. Because grief doesn't disappear when you push it down. Of course, that includes all of the emotions, all of the spectrum of emotions, but grief is something much more challenging to process, especially if from the external it doesn't seem like you should grieve. That is when it's even more challenging to allow yourself to grieve. So this is your permission to grieve this old life, this old identity, those old ways of living. Because if you bypass grief, if you skip this psychological code, chances are you will arrive at this new chapter of your life while still carrying that weight. And with weight, there are expectations, there are hidden expectations. And when you don't see them, they can lead your life. They can take the lead in your life, and they can even create circumstances that you don't align with. You can find yourself being worried or being even surprised with what you have created in this new chapter of your life, even if that was not your conscious decision. It becomes unconscious when you push it down. And that can take the lead of your life. And again, we want you to take the lead in your life. We want your true, authentic self to take the driver's seat of your life. When you allow the grief to move through you, to feel this, something extraordinary happens. There is space now. It seems like space has opened up for you. Everything seems so expansive. There is openness. You might feel this breathable, exciting, genuine, expansive space inside your nervous system, inside your identity, inside your life. And that takes you places because it allows you to see clearly, not see through filters or see through the filter of grief. You see clearly things as they are, more neutrally. There's actual space now for this new identity, for this new career, for this new relationship, for this new move, for this new city, for anything. There is space. You can hold that right now because you let go of that weight. You are not carrying that in the next chapter of your life. Your new self is free and open. So those are the first 4 psychological codes of the sacred in between. Let me recap that for you. So this was the self-activated self. Then we have radical acceptance. Then finding compassion by giving space to the inner critic. And then we have alchemizing the grief. Those are not problems to fix. Those are passages that you move through. In part 2, I'm going to share the final 3 codes, which are my favorites, especially what's the number? The 6th psychological code. I love it. I get so excited teaching that to my students, and here I'm so excited. If this resonated with you and you're moving through a big life transition right now, this is what I do inside Metamorphosis. This is where I take you from fear, uncertainty, feeling lost, full of self-doubt, to feeling certain, to have self-trust, and to lead your life, your decisions through self-led action, because that is possible. So I will leave the link down below. I would love to welcome you there. I've been rebranding and updating Metamorphosis the past few months. I've been creating a self-paced version of the whole module of Metamorphosis because I know a lot of you like to acquire embodied transformation on your own unique timing. So that is available right now. And if you send me a message on Instagram, I'm gonna do 20% on the first 20 people, but only this month. So feel free to grab that opportunity while it lasts. And let me know in the comments which of those 4 codes is showing up in your life right now and what is one shift that you can apply. I would love to know. Yeah, I will see you next week. Bye.